Here's a video I know a lot of you have been waiting for, and that's the ProSharp Home versus the Sparx. Now these are easily the best and the most popular home skate sharpeners that you can buy today. We're going to be going through the differences between these two to help you to understand which one of these is going to be the best one for you to buy. I'm going to be splitting this video into categories to make it a little bit easier for us to go through the differences between them, because although they both do the same job, there's a lot of differences. Those categories are going to be price, finish, value for money, usability, portability, appearance, and lastly, durability. First on the list is going to be price. All of the prices are going to be in US dollars. Now the ProSharp retails for $17.99 US or $1,799, whereas the Sparx retails for $899 US dollars. Now that's a big difference in price, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The way ProSharp make their money as a company on selling you one of these home units is in the price. Their grinding rings, which I've got one right over here, these cost $99 and will be able to do anywhere from 500 to 600 pairs of skates. So you buy this machine at $17.99 and you'll basically be good for grinding rings if you're using it for home use for quite a number of years with just one ring. Now with the Sparx, although it's significantly cheaper at $899 US dollars, the grinding rings, one over here, these will do 40 pairs of skates and costs $49. So what that means is the way we use it in the HQ, we roughly go through one of these grinding rings every single month. So it's really a case of how you want to spend your money. With ProSharp, it's a big payment up front, and then throughout the year you don't pay anything because the grinding rings last forever. With the Sparx, you pay a tiny amount of money up front, and because the grinding rings are going to be consumed quite frequently, you'll need to purchase a lot more of them, so you'll incur small costs throughout the year. Now from there it's finish. Now it's going to be a big one. You get your skates sharpened at home. What's the quality of the grind like? How does it feel on the ice? Does it stack up to the person at the ProSharp sharpening your skates? Now with the Sparx, cycle for cycle or pass for pass, anytime that grinding ring goes over your skates, it removes more material than the ProSharp. So effectively you're going to get a better finish with the Sparx sharpener when compared to the ProSharp. That also means that the Sparx will be able to make less passes over your blade for it to be sharpened when compared to the ProSharp. Because it removes a little bit less material, you'll have to go over your blade a little bit more frequently to be able to get to the same result. Now that just means that you are going to eat into how many cycles you have of your grinding rings, but because the ProSharp you can do 500 to 600 pairs of skates, it's not really a huge concern. Having said that, if you were to sharpen two pairs of identical skates, one with the ProSharp and one with the Sparx, to see what the difference in performance and feel was like on the ice, we personally have not been able to tell the difference. Both sharpens from the ProSharp and the Sparx feel pretty much identical on the ice. Something that we noticed while using the Sparx is that the grinding rings don't go as high up the heel or the toe of the blade as we'd like them to when compared to the ProSharp. The ProSharp does as much of the blade as we would personally like to see it do than compared to the Sparx. With the Sparx, you can very quickly adjust the point that the grinding ring comes into contact with the blade, but even doing that, it doesn't go up the toe and the heel as high as we'd like to see it go. There are a few ways that you can remedy this after having spoken to Sparx by changing the position that you put the skate into the machine in, but that's just something that we noticed that's definitely going to be worth sharing. Moving on to value for money between these two machines. Again, this touches on the points that we covered in the first point, which was price. It comes down to how you want to spend your money. If you are the type of person that prefers to just pay one lump sum and you're done and you don't have to think about anything else, then perhaps the ProSharp would be a good machine to go for. Now, if you're the sort of person that would prefer to pay less money up front, but bear in mind that you are going to have to purchase consumables like the grinding rings because they aren't going to last as long as ProSharps will. So it's just going to be a case of how you prefer to spend your money if we're basing the decision on which one to go to solely on the price. Usability, this is a big one because when you purchase a home skate sharpener, you don't want to have to read up about how to sharpen skates. You just want to be able to open it up and like a printer, a good printer that hopefully works, you just hit go and it does its job. Now with the ProSharp, it basically only has three things on it. It's got the clamp to be able to loosen and tighten the grips that hold the skate in place for it to be sharpened. It has an off and on switch and then the start button. As simple as that. So using one of these machines is incredibly straightforward. You literally put the skate in, clamp it and hit go. That's it. But one of the points that we noticed is the calibration process to make sure that the grinding wheel is aligned and impacting the blade where it should so you get a nice, even, consistent sharpen. Now, if you have to calibrate this to make sure that that grinding wheel is aligned, if it isn't aligned when you receive it, if you don't really know what you're doing, this can be a pain. And you can look for videos online, you can look for details on the website about how to do this, but it's a trial and error process that can chew up a lot of time. ProSharp have just recently introduced a calibration tool for the home unit that simplifies this process drastically. So instead of spending hours trying to calibrate your ProSharp, you now put this calibration tool into the clamp, make sure the grinding wheel lines up with the calibration tool, and you're good to go. Simple as that. But before this tool was created, it was a massive pain to get this thing calibrated if it was uncalibrated. But a side note is these machines are shipped calibrated, but if that process is altered during the shipping process, if the machine gets bumped around a lot, it could be a pain to calibrate it. So I'm very, very glad to see ProSharp have addressed this. Aside from this, the biggest inconvenience with the ProSharp Home is the cycles. Now what I mean by that is when you put your skate in for it to be sharpened, you press the start button, it'll only perform one cycle, regardless of how many times you press it. So what that means is if you need to perform 6 to 8 cycles, you have to press the button, wait for the grinding ring to sharpen once, come back, and then press the button again. If you need to do a lot of cycles, and of course you have to sharpen both of your skates, it can take some time because you have to stand over the machine to make sure that you press the button for it to perform the cycles that it needs to. And aside from this, sometimes you can lose count. If you're doing 8 to 10 cycles, pressing the button constantly, you might be talking to some friends and you'll lose count. Did I do 6? Did I do 5? So that's the biggest inconvenience with this. What I would love to see ProSharp do is perhaps program in a minimum amount of cycles into this machine. So when you press the button once, it performs, say, 4 to 5 cycles at minimum. That would save you a lot of time while using this machine. Now, when we look at the Sparx, they've designed this thing to be incredibly user-friendly. Although it has a lot more buttons than the ProSharp, and you might have to look at the manual to figure out what all of these buttons do, bearing in mind you can actually watch videos online of people using this, and you kind of get to grips with what each of the buttons do very, very quickly. So it's not really complicated to use, but it does have more buttons, and there is a lot more that you need to do to get this machine ready, but it's incredibly straightforward. Sparx have been able to simplify a lot of the processes in skate sharpening that are very, very difficult or time-consuming for us to do. Like with the calibration process that we covered in the ProSharp, that can be quite time-consuming and difficult to do if you don't know what you're doing. Sparx, on the other hand, have made a process that is incredibly complicated feel very easy. And you always know that a company is working hard when they make something that is very difficult to do feel completely effortless. All you have to do is use the calibration tool Sparx have provided you with to basically match up 2 points and make sure that they're aligned. And you do that visually by just looking into the calibration device. It's incredibly straightforward and just takes a few minutes, if not seconds. But now the biggest advantage with usability between these two machines is the cycles. With Sparx, you're able to pre-program the amount of cycles you want the machine to do. Now, although this seems very straightforward, it's incredibly time-saving. You're able to pre-program anywhere from 1 to 10 cycles with the Sparx. That means that you can simply just put your skate into the Sparx, select the amount of cycles that you want, hit start, and off you go. And because the machine is color coordinated with the lighting systems that's inside it, orange means the machine is sharpening, green means the machine is done. So if you're looking at it from across the room, it just takes a quick glance to figure out what point the machine is at to let you know if you can take the skate out, put the next one in, and repeat the process. The usability of the Sparx is almost flawless. Very straightforward, very quick, very, very convenient. Another incredibly useful feature the Sparx has is a display that indicates when you need to change your grinding rings. Now, when we take a look at the ProSharp, we have to actually physically look at the wheel to be able to best determine when we need to replace it. The Sparx actually shows you when it needs to be replaced, and best of all, if the grinding ring is completely depleted, the Sparx will not allow you to perform a sharpen. A great feature about the ProSharp is that you don't need any attachments to be able to sharpen goalie skates. Now with the Sparx, you do need to have a separate attachment to be able to make sure that the blade comes into contact with the goalie skate properly, but with ProSharp, you just put it in and hit go. There are also a few subtle things that you don't really think about until you've used the machine for a while, like cleaning. The ProSharp is incredibly small and compact, which is great for portability, but if you're trying to get a vacuum inside this thing to clean it, there are only a few areas that you can access. And the corners that are a bit harder to get to, you may need to use a damp cloth to reach those to ensure that your machine is clean anytime you want to use it. Now with the Sparx, although it is bigger, there is a lot more space inside the machine, so it's easier to get into. And I'm not saying that you can vacuum every section of the machine, because there are still areas that are very difficult to get to, that you'll need to use a damp cloth to reach, but it is easier to get inside this machine because it is bigger. And as a side note, Sparx have also added safety clamps to their machine, which make it a lot safer to use. It makes it very, very difficult for any tiny little fingers to get inside the sharpener while it's working. So these are a few subtle differences that you might need to consider before you purchase one of these machines. Next up is portability, which is a really, really big deal for us because we travel a lot, and having a personal sharpener that we can take with us makes our life a lot easier, because sometimes we go to remote locations like in India in the Himalayas where there are no pro shops. If you lose an edge, there's basically nothing that you can do. So having one of these machines that we can have in a hotel with us in the back of the car makes a big difference for us to have a little bit more confidence when we travel. Now the Sparx alone is 17.5 kilograms, which is pretty heavy. The ProSharp on its own is around 8.6 kilograms. So there's a very, very big difference in weight. But I did mention earlier on that the Sparx is significantly bigger than the ProSharp. Now, when you add the carry case and some of the accessories that you're going to need as a minimum with the Sparx, the total weight is around 32 kilograms. And this includes Sparx's travel case, which is a Pelican case. So it's a very big, sturdy, secure travel case, but it adds a lot of weight. So 32 kilograms total. And most commercial airliners that we use give you a baggage allowance of 25 kilograms. So if you're going to be flying a lot with this machine, you need to keep that in mind, because not only are you going to incur extra baggage charges, you're going to incur overweight baggage charges because this thing is heavy. But that also means just moving the machine around, if you're moving it from home to the rink, into the back of cars, out of cars, carting it around, 32 kilograms isn't a lightweight to be moving around constantly, so you need to keep that in mind. Now with the ProSharp, it being only 8.6 kilograms on its own, with the accessories that you're going to be needing with this as a minimum, you're looking at around 8.9 kilograms total. So it's much, much lighter. If you're moving around a lot, traveling, flying a lot, and you don't have a lot of car space or travel space to be able to accommodate a big sharpener, this thing is phenomenal for that because it's tiny, light, and portable. Another bonus with the ProSharp is because of its compact size, if you're traveling and flying a lot, this thing can actually go on board a flight as hand luggage because its dimensions allow you to do so, which is fantastic. It means you don't have to worry about baggage handlers at the airport throwing around your expensive skate sharpener, which is great. So again, traveling with this thing, taking it in and out of the car, to and from the arena, traveling with it is very, very easy because it's very compact and light. So a point that I think is important is appearance. People tend to like things that look cool. Now the Sparx, we have to say that this thing looks incredible. It's been designed to pretty much fit in the home, in the office, in the arena. It's been beautifully designed. This thing looks incredible. Whereas the ProSharp has been designed to be functional. So although some might say the way something looks isn't important provided it does the job correctly, which I definitely stand by, but credit where credit's due, the Sparx looks really good. The final point we're going to touch on is durability, and we're going to start with the Sparx, because when I saw this thing on Kickstarter, the first thing that I was thinking about is this thing has a lot of components, it has a lot of buttons, and I thought this front panel was actually made from plastic, but it's glass. So I was concerned, how fragile is this thing going to be? Is it going to be the sort of device that you just kind of put on one table and then it never moves again? I was concerned that the Sparx wouldn't be able to take a beating. It would be very delicate and you'd have to move around with it very delicately. It almost looks and feels like a very complex computer. This thing can take a beating. We've traveled with it on numerous occasions. We've taken it all around Europe with us. And in the HQ, we have a shooting gallery with a reinforced windwell goal. Now what that means is if you rip a shot and it hits the post, you guys know what happens. That puck ricochets and it flies. And on a couple of occasions, we've had a puck hit the post and fly straight into the glass, and the puck just bounced off. I for sure thought the glass would be cracked, chipped. It was completely fine. The only thing that was left on it was a little mark of where the rubber of the puck had bounced off of the glass, which wiped away. Aside from that, when this thing is in its case, we've dragged it up and down stairs, dragged it to and from trunks of cars, onto flights, and it's been fine. So don't think for a minute I'm saying that you can shoot pucks at your Sparx, but all I'm saying is that this thing can take a beating. Now when we look at the ProSharp, the great thing about this is when we talked about the way it looks, it's built to be functional. So it's not built to look glamorous or pretty, but it does the job. Now the great thing about the way this thing's been designed is that it has minimal parts. So it only has the absolute necessary pieces of equipment inside there for it to do its job. Now although that doesn't make it look as pretty as this, it's incredibly functional. Its durability is going to be down to the fact that this entire thing is enclosed inside a metal frame, so it can take a beating. All of the electronic components are enclosed inside one section inside the ProSharp, which means that you can basically remove all of its electronic components by just taking out one piece of this entire machine. That means that it's incredibly easy for ProSharp to be able to make any servicing or repairs should the need ever arise. But aside from that, because everything is enclosed in a section well protected at the back of this machine, it's what allows it to be able to take such a beating to be able to be transported wherever you need to without having to worry about damaging the machine and affecting the way that it works. So this thing has been left outside, it's been left in the car overnight, it's been on countless flights as hand luggage and also check-in, so it's been thrown around a lot, and it works completely fine. Incredibly durable, incredibly portable. A pretty futuristic feature with the Sparx grinding rings is all of the information about how your machine's performing and any possible errors or issues it might have are actually logged on the grinding rings themselves. This means if you're ever trying to diagnose a problem, all you'd need to do is send the grinding ring to Sparx for them to be able to tell you exactly what's wrong with your machine. So if you're trying to decide between these two machines, there's a lot that you need to consider. Hopefully, the way that we've laid out this video gives you a clear idea of which one of these machines will be the right one for you to go for. As always, if you have any questions that we didn't answer in this video, please post them down below. All of the links to pick these up will be in the video description down below as well. Sparx, although currently is only available in North America, having spoken to them, they're going to be making this product available in Europe and the rest of the world very, very soon. We hopefully expect that to be done this year. So just check the link down below in the video description. And if you see the worldwide link there, you know that it's available worldwide. And the ProSharp is available worldwide from today. It's been available worldwide since it was launched. If you want more information about these two machines, ask any questions down below. Make sure you check out the links down below. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the videos that we post. And of course, if you want to see any other verses between any other pieces of equipment in the hockey world, let us know. But thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Big thank you to ProSharp and Sparx for making this video possible.